And we're back. Brandon's as quick as the flash. We watched Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Not his old nightmare.
Not his old nightmare. The newest one. As from like the mid-90s. Or maybe
I guess not the newest. Well, maybe his newest.
I guess.
Was he involved with Freddy vs. Jason?
No.
Okay.
No. Thank God.
I like that movie. Okay.
I don't. Well, it's a gore fest. It is. That movie is what it is. But we're not here to talk about Freddy vs. Jason. Maybe in another year. But not this year. We are talking about Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which I love.
It's a good movie.
I like this movie a lot.
It's a good movie.
The reason I like it is just strictly based off a concept. And not even really the execution, even though that's fine too. It's a solid Wes Craven movie.
No.
It's maybe not the best acting in the world because
it's not terrible.
It's not terrible.
I think
everything's serviceable.
I think the reason, if anything, the reason the acting fails is because they're supposed to be. Yeah, they're supposed to be representing reality, and so which is
they're supposed to be naturalistic, and it's
and it's
hard as soon as someone shows you a camera in your face like this.
Yeah,
because we're not naturalistic either. I like lots of stuff with this movie.
Okay,
I'm not even sure where to start. I guess I'll start with concept.
Okay,
because it's as meta can be. It's quite literally, it's breaking down that fourth wall, and the movie that you're watching is the movie that they're making in the movie.
But it's not really a movie.
But it's not supposed to be a movie, it's supposed to be real.
Yeah.
But really, it's a movie.
Yeah.
It messes with your head a little bit. Because I think the underlying suggestion here is that, at least to me, is that this movie isn't supposed to be a movie, because every step of the way, every part of the movie is in the script that they read,
right,
just as it is in reality. So the underlying concept is that Wes Craven really does have nightmares, and they made this to stop real Freddy Krueger in our real world. I like that. That's a cool idea.
And or Wes Craven is God, and
I think that's a byproduct of what's going on here. Because I think I'm sure, and I think this is actually in like a special feature on there or something. It is about the craft of making movies, and the writer, director, and everyone involved. He's the creator. He's the creator of that world, and as such, he can just will things into being. And in this movie, they use that concept to will evil, or Freddy Krueger, into being. And it's a really cool idea. It's really neat. And really, I hadn't seen it done in this way ever before. I can't remember a movie that does this. Not even really since. I mean, Scream doesn't go to the lengths that this one does to explore, what movie making is all about. I mean, I'm sure there are other movies that just aren't springing to mind that deal with, the creation of art or something.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this isn't art, but I mean, I think of all Wes Craven's movies, this one is the one that borderlines most on art, though. It's just an exploration of what it means to create something, and so I respect that. And to me, probably one of his strongest movies because of that. Just sheer concept. I mean, I love the Scream movies, and I like Red Eye a lot, and I like the original Nightmare on Elm Street. But this one has a little extra thing working in its favor. I'm talking a lot. I'll let you talk about something.
No, I honestly, I don't know. I don't have a ton to say about it. Like I like it. I know I don't nearly like it as much as you do.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable. I like it every time I see it, but I'm not. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Okay.
So
that's fine. I might be overselling it.
No. I mean, it's. I definitely understand your excitement about this movie.
For me, it's all the concept. It's the exposition of it, because the movie itself is just a by the numbers.
Oh yeah,
horror movie. It's a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. It really is. And as cool as those are, well, mostly. I like the first one. I like the third one. I like this one. That's about it. Actually, all the ones with Heather Langenkamp in them. But it's not. It's where that concept kind of breaks down. It could have been taken to more. It could have been done more justice, maybe, if the overall movie lived up to the really neat idea, to the really cool concept of it. But in the end, it is a horror movie that's made to make money, so it can't just be an art house project, which is where I think it would be the best, actually. Yeah. And nothing else. It's, I think, a good movie in a film class. Something like it's a good jumping off point to start talking about what's the role of people who make movies. What are movies? We're creating worlds that people, when they're watching them, know they're not real. They know it's not real, but it's the willful suspension of disbelief. It's you want it to be real while you're watching it, and you kind of make it real, just like dreams. So it's all kind of caves back into each other. Favorite scene? Unless you have some more to say, because I just dominated discussion. No. You must have a favorite scene.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I went first the last couple times. I'll let you go first.
All right, I'll go first. My favorite scene in this movie is kind of an anomaly, because usually this type of scene in any movie is my least favorite.
Okay.
And it's a scene that is strictly there for exposition. So it's the scene that every movie has where people are kind of standing around or sitting around talking about backstory and talking about what's going on that led to the events of what's happening in the movie before. And then this is something that happens in every single movie, and it has to take place for action to start happening, because you want to know where you are. There's very few movies. I can't think of any movies that don't have exposition in them. And they're usually the most boring, because it's just telling you something. Yeah. It's not showing you something, which is what movies should be about. In this movie, my favorite scene, though, is just that. It's the scene where Heather goes to see Wes Craven at his house, and you start to understand more about what's going on around them. Why things are happening the way they are. It's because of the script that he's writing. So the script, it's two things. It's supposed to be reflecting what's going on in their world, but also shows you exactly the script for the movie. Right. So when he goes to his computer, what's on the screen is exactly what's going on in that scene, and even up to the fade to black at the very end of it, and that's exactly what happens at the end of the scene. It fades to black. It's really cool. It's a really neat idea.
I just had this another Community flash of that whole episode when Abed was producing his own TV show version of their thing.
Yeah.
But he was everything that he was shooting was predicting the future, because it was he would be shooting these a week in advance, and it would turn out to be true. And Shirley gets chased by. She's like, "I'm going to get killed by a werewolf."
Yeah, that's it's the same type. It's the same thing. Yeah. It's the same thing. But I think that scene just works. It just works, because they start to see oh shit, this is exactly what's. That's the scene that adds the extra level to it for me. Before, it's just about isn't it a neat idea that the actors from the movies are actually gonna start experiencing what actually happened in the movies that that they made. But then it goes that extra step of saying, no, this is exactly what this guy's writing. That's what's happening. And so it's it takes you to another step of reality. It's almost like Inception in a way. There's different levels. It takes you to a third level. What's your favorite scene?
My favorite scene involves the little kid. Okay. Which we said, it's
kind of annoying.
I don't know.
Like every horror
movie. He is. I think that he does the best in this one. Because it's a toned down creepiness in this one. It's not very over the top, and but it's also not just him staring and being creepy.
Which kids are very good at.
Yeah. But for me, it was it's a scene where they're reading Hansel and Gretel, And she's getting like freaked out, and he's kind of like, into the story and like all happy. And
I know what you mean.
And
he starts reciting the lines,
and then she's like, "No, that's enough." And he finishes.
He's
the story.
really good at that scene.
And it just his like recital of like the ending was just.
It's like, I see why they cast this kid now.
Yeah, like because it goes through these like it starts out he's happy, and then it's like this creepy thing, and then it's like. But then it's it's a happy ending. He goes home
his
and
dad showers him the kisses.
Yeah, and so it's just this weird. It wasn't necessarily for the creepiness of it. It was just I think like there was a certain emotional impact in that scene where it's like there's something wrong here, and I don't know. But
no, it's legit. I like that scene too. I like that scene a lot. Growing up, this is this has been a favorite movie of mine for a long time. Horror movie. But growing up, there was always a scene that was a rehash. I'll step aside and mention this. Lots of what happens in this movie is just a straight up rehash of what happens in the first movie. A lot of the death scenes are just ripped from those pages, and intentionally so. But it was always the babysitter getting dragged up to the ceiling, because that's just impressive filmmaking. That's just it's impressive practical effects, and they use basically the same technology that Christopher Nolan eventually used in Inception with the hallway scene.
And Lionel Richie used in Dancing on the Ceiling.
Can't forget about Lionel Richie. That's why we're here, guys, to remind you of Lionel Richie. But yeah. See, if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth it's brain food. I like it. It's like a puzzle, sort of wrapped in kind of a mediocre horror movie.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about it. What are we watching next day? Tomorrow.
Tomorrow is Bride of Reanimator.
Bride of Reanimator,
which I'm looking forward to. I love the first one.
I love the first Reanimator also. Last year was the first time I actually saw it. Yeah. That was our last movie for last year's 31 Days of Horror. And it's really Reanimator obviously is really it's a cult classic.
Yeah.
The sequel's not so much, but I'm nonetheless excited to watch it. So grab your copy we got good enough from Netflix. It is strangely hard to find.
Yeah,
it's not streaming anywhere. You had to have it on DVD or video. So if your local store has it, ours didn't. I was kind of looking all over Best Buy, and we have an FYE in the mall here. They didn't have it either, even though they have tons of horror movies. But find it if you can. I don't think it's on Amazon either. It's not streaming.
It wasn't streaming anywhere because we had to. This was one that we definitely had to get the disc for.
So if you can find it, awesome. Watch it and then come back tomorrow and listen to us talk about it ad nauseum. Bye. Oh, I thought you were going to pop your collar. You don't have a collar. Band's gone.